The chief small business architect who helps solopreneurs build their business foundations on bedrock is back. I am honored to have the one and only entrepreneur with a CPA, Joe Dichiara, back on the show. He has been helping individuals start, build, and manage small businesses for over 35 years. In his capacity as a CPA and business advisor, he has been blessed to work with thousands of small business owners from all walks of life. Good, hardworking American people that get caught up in the web of government and IRS rules and regulations that make starting, building, and managing a small business successfully nearly impossible, with over 98% of new businesses failing within 10 years. He has made it his mission to help stem the epidemic of small business failures in the USA through high quality, low cost business education. Before we bring him on for the show, let's start with an opening question. What does entrepreneurship mean to you, Joe?
Freedom, the chance at a life beyond your wildest dreams. Also, a life devastated because of mistakes that you might make. And that's it. Both ends of the spectrum. It could be the best thing you ever did. It could be the worst thing you ever did. But if you stick it out, I guarantee you it'll be worth it.
Freedom in both ways. Freedom inside the workplace and outside the workplace. For me, I'm dictating my day, dictating my schedule. Everybody defines success differently. And something I've been striving for really since I got my master's degree was creating the schedule I want, make time for my family when I want to see them, make time to have a social life if I choose to do something, not being bounded by something, because I also knew in my last corporate job, I had more in me than just the 3 or 4 tasks I was being assigned. I was crawling out of my seat almost at my desk. And now Joe and I had the opportunity to connect on multiple occasions. You hear his bedrock welcome on the beginning of this show. Stay tuned for an incredible episode. And with that, I want to welcome you back to That Entrepreneur Show. My name is Vincent A. Lancy. If it's episode number 1 listening in, welcome. Whether you're looking to start or scale your business, this is the show for you. Each week, I interview at least one entrepreneur from around the country and across the globe to share what worked well for them, what they needed to improve on, how they went about it, and so much more. You never know which motivational journey will inspire you most.
This segment is sponsored by Bedrock Business Builders, a small business startup specialist. Start, build, manage.
For this episode, it is another Rewind the Clock bonus episode, and I am bringing back an entrepreneur who is focused in giving back through his experiences and provides value in many ways, including multiple books as an author. We'll touch on it all again today. You may recognize him, as I said, from the beginning of our shows. Bedrock has been our partner over the last month of episodes, and I am humbled to work with someone who does so much for the entrepreneurial sector. Joe, welcome back.
Thank you, Vincent. It's a real honor to be back. I appreciate it.
Of course. Would you mind previewing your story to everyone who missed your first episode, and then we'll dive right back into business talk?
Oh, how far back do you want to go? When I was 10 years old, I started a casino in my driveway. That's when my whole entrepreneurial journey started, believe it or not. I didn't realize it at the time. But, I made money. It was probably $3 or $4, which was a lot for a 10-year-old in 1970. And I remember distinctly asking my mother, why do people get jobs? Why do people work if they can just do what they want and have fun and make money? And she said, you're not doing the casino thing anymore. So she shut me down, but the seed was planted. I believe that entrepreneurs are born. You could become an entrepreneur. You could learn it. But some of us just have this internal desire to what you just described, to break out of the box. I could understand your feelings because that's how I felt when I was working at accounting firms. I felt like a fish out of water. I felt like I was stuck, and I resented my father for tricking me into becoming a CPA. So that's the the short story.
And now we're going to get into the long story. You mentioned CPA. I mentioned he's an author. He also has Bedrock that sponsors the show. We're going to dive into all your business talk right now. Let's catch everybody up since your first episode. Bedrock, let's talk about it.
Okay, Bedrock is basically the culmination of a mission I started over 20 years ago when I realized that I could do bookkeeping and accounting remotely. There was this little widget that Microsoft included in their what do you call it? Their stuff. It was called the RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol. And a client that needed their financials done, they needed some work done like immediately. And it was a 3-hour drive back and forth. So they sent me a link to just log in, and the light bulb went off. I said, oh my God, if I could do accounting remotely, think of all the possibilities.
Yes.
And I wish I could say it was easy, but nothing, worthwhile is that easy. We went through years of trials and tribulations. I put together courses. I tried to market the system to accountants. A lot of it worked through the years. What I was able to do, the first amazing thing was I was able to teach my mother, who had no accounting experience before that, how to do bookkeeping on QuickBooks, how to enter transactions, how to do bank recs, credit card. And she helped me run my business for a long time. I got spoiled. I created a very profitable accounting business where I pretty much worked part-time. I only worked about 15, 20 hours a week in the accounting practice, making more than, full-time revenue. And what I did with the other time was I experimented. I was an entrepreneur. I traveled around the country learning the stuff I needed to learn to figure out why my world-changing idea wasn't taking off like wildfire. Fast forward to about 3 years ago, when I said, I was tired. I actually got bored just doing regular corporations and working with established business owners. And, the truth is I love to teach. And the clients that I had were already geniuses. They didn't need to know anything. They just wanted me to do their accounting and taxes. And that was fine for them, but not for me. Again, I felt like that fish out of water. I'm like, I need more. I'm getting older. I want to, my original idea was to change. We all want to change the world. Okay. At least I do. And I'm pretty sure that you do.
Yes.
And, I'm thinking, how am I changing the world as an accountant? I'm making plenty of money. I do what I want. I travel. I enjoy my life. But if I don't go out of this, nobody gets out of here alive, Vince, and I hate to tell you that. But I said, if I don't give this one more shot at doing this, I'm going to regret it my whole life. And the market, I found the target market, this was back in 2016, and it was the 28 million sole proprietors that shouldn't be sole proprietors. I'm not going to go into all the details about that. You can visit my YouTube channel. I got plenty of videos on that. But about 2.5 years ago, basically when COVID started, I started doing all these Facebook Lives about, the government bailout, the PPP loans, and all of that. And some people just started connecting with me. And the first link in the chain was Elizabeth Frederick. I think that you might know her.
Yep.
She's brilliant. She just, I kid her. I said, because I never hired her. I'm like, you just started working for me. She started doing so much for me that I had to start paying her. I'm like, listen, you can. And the truth is that she believed in what I was doing. Okay. And then we started hiring people to fill in the gaps, social media, graphic design. Now, it was about what's this is 2022, right? At the end of 2020, we started hiring remote accountants to basically utilize the system that I started about 20 years ago. And it's grown. Today, we have 5 full-time accountants, accounting specialists. We just hired a social media person, social media manager. We have an executive assistant, Corrine, and we have an unbelievable graphic person. She started out as a graphic person. Now she's doing web design. What does this mean? It means that we have been able to create a platform for business owners that don't normally hire accountants. Okay, that was our market. We started $57 a month. It's life changing for some people, and I'm not just saying that to pat myself on the back. The truth is that what we learned, Vincent, that 98% failure rate.
Yeah.
What I've discovered is the main cause of that is that people start businesses and they don't get the guidance and direction they need from somebody like me. Okay. And the reason is, number one, there's a shortage of good accountants and tax preparers.
Yes,
so there's
there
a
is.
shortage. So the price goes up. Okay. Normally I charge $300 an hour. Well, people that are just starting out can't afford that. So they wind up doing stuff on their own and they wind up with problems. It's like being your own lawyer. That's great. You're going to save the money, go on LegalZoom and do it yourself. And then it's going to come back to haunt you. So I had to look at that and say, how do I make money as an entrepreneur? I'm not a martyr. This isn't a not-for-profit. We had to develop systems and procedures that would make it economically feasible. So where I could train my staff on how to handle the basics. And when those situations come up that are complicated, that they have a go-to person. And it's not just me, it's our whole team. And it's working, it's growing, we're filling a gap. We're growing exponentially, and it's just starting. So I believe that, when I started this, I did what Napoleon Hill calls the definite chief aim. And, in it, I spelled out exactly what we're doing today. I said, I want to help millions of people learn the fundamentals of success. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. But you want to know something, Vincent? Through technology like this, we can reach millions of people. Okay. We might be reaching thousands right now. I don't know. The numbers are going up, but the potential's there, and it's definitely mushrooming.
Well, you couldn't say that better. We're able to connect Florida to New York, like I said, multiple times now. And then our audiences are introduced to each other and so forth. And you never know which connection you make that is going to change your life. I got to say, I always respect your hustle, your work ethic, and building things from scratch. Now Bedrock is established with a team around you. So congrats on all the additional growth. But I would like to now talk about COVID, how your business was affected. You're up in New York. Things are a lot different up in New York than they are here in Florida. Let's talk now how it affected your business.
Well, let me say this. I tell people it's not if something's going to happen, it's when.
Yep.
But as a business owner, you have to be prepared. Okay. Business is tough. Life is tough. Okay. I read a book called The Road Less Traveled, and you can read the first page and you can get a lot out of it. All he says is, life is tough. Once you can accept that, you can enjoy life. So entrepreneurship adds a whole nother dimension of complexity and pain and suffering to that equation. So when COVID hit, I knew, not like I prepared for COVID, but I said, oh, this is one of those times where you gotta, rise to the occasion. Successful people don't let stuff like that get them down. they say, okay, maybe this is an opportunity. And I took that opportunity, like I said, to get on Facebook and start doing lives. I said, let me, explain to people what's going on. And my phone was ringing off the hook. My phone, my email, it was ringing off the hook because people wanted to know, can I apply for these loans? What can I get? What can I expect? And so COVID was very, very good for my business, Vincent. And it wasn't by accident. It wasn't luck. It was because of all the other ups and downs I've seen, the financial, what was it, 2008,
Yep.
the internet bubble. I mean, this, and this isn't new. This started from the beginning of time. You can go back to the Depression, all the wars that people have. So it kills me when people say, oh, this is the worst thing that ever happened. No, it's not. It's bad, but you got to weather the storm. And so that's what COVID did for me. And now I could see, some people suffered immensely. My coach, my mentor, Larry Broughton, owns a very large hotel conglomerate. His business went from hero to zero overnight. But he's an entrepreneur and a special ops Green Beret. So not that he didn't go through a lot of pain, but I like to say pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. What he's been doing, what I understand, I don't know all the details about how he's getting out of this, but I know that they were planning on doing purchases. Because now the price is down. So yeah, he
got to go back.
I always knew he would survive, but now he's going to come out stronger than he was before. I know it because that's what happens. Let me just also say that, and I don't know the statistics, but I think more millionaires were created during the Depression than ever before. And that's the attitude you have to have. I've been watching a video about Elon Musk. Okay. And you got to watch this because everybody thinks, oh, Elon Musk, he's a billionaire. Well, he walked away from PayPal with $180 million and this idea to start Tesla and SpaceX. And he almost lost everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And you don't think he went through a lot of pain and suffering? He was everything's relative. He was like, I was down to 30 million. And I had to decide, do I put it all into Tesla or all into SpaceX or just let them both die? And he was like, and what he said was they're like his children. He split it. He gave them both 15 million because he would have rather been broke than see both of them die. He had to at least give it a chance. So that's entrepreneurship in a nutshell. It doesn't matter if you start with zero or you start with 180 million.
You'll get there and weather in the storm. Again, in the COVID example, Elon Musk, everybody goes through the ups and downs. It's inevitable, as you said. I love the way you put that. And there will be another pandemic type situation, maybe next decade or even less. We don't even know if we're out of this one, or it could get way worse again. We don't know. But on a more positive note, Joe, I want to ask you, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received? Who gave it to you, and why is it still sticking with you?
This might sound strange, but I believe the best piece of advice I ever got was from my cousin Vinny. I have a cousin Vinny, and he told me to join a fraternity. He was my mentor. He knew, he was a CPA. He was an investment banker. He took me under his wing. And I'll never forget, I was about to, I had, graduated from a community college with an accounting degree, and I was planning on going upstate to Oswego. And he said, why don't you join a fraternity? And I said, well, because they just drink beer and have parties. He's like, no, you meet friends, you make connections. And it was, I can't go into details, but yeah, a lot of those people 40 years later, they're still my friends. I've been doing tax returns for some of them for 40 years. I met a very good friend that has introduced me to people like Larry Broughton, some world class. And I said, "Oh my God, that one little, who would have known?
Right.
Who would have known? Join a fraternity." And really, what it taught me was the value of relationships.
Hmm.
Okay. And that's what he was trying to get at. He was like, you get fraternity brothers. And he's still, because he was in a fraternity, he still meets with his, and he's 10 years older than me. So he's been doing it for 50 years. So that's, I think the most important thing that people could learn is that it really comes down to relationships.
I'm going to shout out earlier episode and a star in Mr. Lanty Talks Mental Health, Tony Alexander. He says your net worth is your network. That's your net worth, the people you have in your network. So I love how you touched on that. Now I want to jump into another piece of advice in a different way. If you could recommend one book, workshop, or tool to our community of entrepreneurs, what would it be?
The Law of Success. That was Napoleon Hill's precursor to Think and Grow Rich, because I did that. That's actually a course. And I did that course with my son and my best friend at the time. And that's where I learned about the definite chief aim. It was profound. I look at Think and Grow Rich as the commercialization of that book. So I would highly recommend The Law of Success.
Thank you for that recommendation. If it's coming from Joe, it is a good one. And normally, as you know, Joe, it's time for the Spotlight Story, where we ask our guests to go over another entrepreneur's journey to provide some additional analysis. But for Rewind the Clock episodes, I want to ask you to shout out another entrepreneur, show love to someone else who needs some light on them. Who's grinding around the clock?
Okay, so this again, it might come as a little bit of a shock. It might come as a shock to him. But I have this client, Steven Vega. You can go to stevenvega.com. That's STEVENVEGA.com, Steven Vega. He came to me about a year ago. He was an actor. Okay. And he wanted to know, because we were doing grant research for people at the time. We had figured out that a lot of people wanted and needed grants. And he asked me, how can he get a grant as an actor? And basically I said, nobody's going to give you money as an actor. You got to do something to change the community, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he signed up as one of our CFO clients. And today he's an off the charts entrepreneur. He surprised everyone on our team. He's become a coach. He's got a Facebook group. And the funny thing is, we have a mastermind group. We meet every Friday, and he's a big part of it. And it's almost like every opportunity he gets to sell something, and it doesn't seem like a sale. I'm like, oh my God, what do we turn this guy into? So it's like, and the truth is, we didn't turn it. We just gave him some guidance. It was in him. I'm like, oh my God, he was born to be an entrepreneur. He just went the actor route, but I see this guy doing really big things. He's got a big heart. He's got a big parrot that's part of his entourage. But yeah, Steven Vega is somebody you want to keep your eye out for.
We'll have to be sure to tag him when this episode comes out. But thank you, Joe, for joining for such a value-filled episode. You showed our audience that growth is possible to hit unexpected heights. Like you said, entrepreneurship can provide a life you never expected. He surrounded himself with a team. He's now at the last week of tax season 2, grinding around the clock as we record this. He's doing it all. He mentioned the books. Where can everybody find these books, find more about you, Bedrock, everything?
So the books are easy. Just go to Amazon.com. I have an author's page. You'll find most of my books. There's one book that isn't up there because of the name thing. I can't link it to my author page, but I recommend it for entrepreneurs. It's the itty bitty book of everything you wanted to know about S Corps. That's like my flagship book, because that's one of the keys to helping sole proprietors up their business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all over Facebook. All you got to do is Google me, Joe Dichiara, and I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and I'll come up there.
Yes, he will. And he's got a lot to offer. I can't stress that enough. Be sure to look at everything he's doing, taxing to business to masterminds. If you want to diversify yourself, have multiple passions, Joe is a great guy to connect with because he can give you advice on how to do just that. I am at Vincent A. Lancey on all social media, and the show is at That Entrepreneur Show, but we may be condensing to one page. Stay tuned for that. If you check out my books, let me know. I'd love to hear what you think. We have Mental Health Week and Mr. Lancey Talks Mental Health on Amazon now. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next Friday on another episode of That Entrepreneur Show. Joe, thank you so much for stopping by.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.